December 23rd, 7:30 p.m. With only the light of the British campfires to guide them, the guns of the Carolina open fire. The attack, remembers one British soldier, catches the camp completely by surprise.
Flash, flash, flash came from the river. The roar of the cannon followed, pouring a perfect shower of grape and round shot into the camp.
Following the Carolina strike, the American infantry attack. The fighting in the fog and smoke becomes intense and chaotic. Soldiers clash with bayonets and fire at point-blank range. Some of the untrained militia fire back wildly and hit their own men in ferocious hand-to-hand combat. British units counterattack, forcing the Americans to withdraw. Less than 24 hours later, and 6,000 miles away, the British and the Americans come together, not on the battlefield at New Orleans, but at the peace table at Ghent.
The Treaty of Peace is signed in Belgium on Christmas Eve, 1814. But it takes 4 to 6 weeks for word to cross the Atlantic in those days, too late for armies squaring off at New Orleans.
While peace is at hand, both sides prepare for what will be the bloodiest battle of the war. Andrew Jackson organizes his force in a ditch just 5 miles from the city. Here we shall plant our stakes, he reassures his men, and not abandon them until we drive these redcoat rascals into the river or the swamp. 4,000 men, entrenched in mud, are stretched over a mile from the Mississippi River on the west to its easternmost rampart in the swampy woodlands. Meanwhile, the British advance toward the city quickly becomes a quagmire.
They push up from Lake Bourne, and they're using their small boats, the ship's boats and barges, cart the British Army up piecemeal fashion to embark operations against the Americans. There aren't enough boats. They're exhausted. It's been a long, hard campaign. Morale's dropping.
As the fog lifts on New Year's Day, 1815, the British guns open fire, taking the Americans by surprise. Solid shot, exploding mortar shells, and Congreve rockets can be heard throughout New Orleans. Old Hickory calms his anxious men.
Don't mind those rockets. They are mere toys to amuse children.
The American gunners immediately return fire, and artillery rumbles for the next 3 hours. But the hastily assembled gun emplacements cannot protect the British. One by one, their artillery pieces fall silent, some nearly out of ammunition. A British soldier expresses his dismay.
Even this artillery attack, upon which so much reliance had been placed, was found to be of no avail.
Although the artillery attack has failed, General Pakenham believes he can still smash Jackson's line if he uses his most powerful tactic, a full-out charge on the city. But Jackson will be ready for him, setting the final stage for the Battle of New Orleans. On January 7th, 1815, after weeks of holding off the British invaders, Andrew Jackson's ragtag army of 4,000 men lie in wait. At any moment, the inevitable attack will begin. The Battle of New Orleans will be the climactic showdown of the War of 1812.
As the evening of January 7th appears, the men behind Line Jackson know that an attack is imminent. They can hear the sounds directly in front of them, and yet their morale is extremely high because in their mind, they have beaten the British twice. And they feel themselves almost invincible, each man relying upon that piece of wall that he himself has constructed. And it is their morale, coupled with good luck, which will turn the tide of the battle.
Just outside the city, thousands of reinforcements led by General Pakenham intend to overwhelm the Americans with sheer numbers and take advantage of a glaring weakness in their defense.
Jackson's line appears weakest on its flanks. They can be easily turned, or at least so it's thought. And if those flanks can be turned, the American line will disintegrate and be rolled up and become untenable.
Pakenham devises a well-coordinated attack along the American line. Nearly 1,000 men will cross the Mississippi on the west bank, attack the American artillery batteries, and turn the guns on Jackson's own men.
With the West Bank taken, General Pakenham can begin his main attack. He has 3 columns. On his left, General Keane will create a diversion. On his right, General Gibbs will have the main column of attack and will have the job of storming over Line Jackson and taking that position. Down the center, General Lambert will bring up a column of reserve. He'll be there to throw his weight behind whatever action needs more troops.
Pakenham's plan is aggressive, but it's too complicated. He's got too many columns moving forward, and everything has got to be timed to perfection.
In the pre-dawn mist of January 8, 1815, the British begin their advance. From the start, problems plague Pakenham's troops. The muddy riverbanks slow the launching of the attack force. Once in the water, the swift current sends some boats too far downstream before they can reach the west bank. By the time they make it across the river, it will be too late to effect the battle. Elsewhere, the 44th Regiment, part of the main assault force, blunders.
The primary assault column is on the march, and the regiment that's supposed to carry the scaling ladders have forgotten them. They've left them behind. When they go back to get them, the column's already on the move.